So, welcome everyone. My name is Jill Nimchek with the Wisconsin Out of School Time Alliance, a program of the Marshfield Clinic region of Sanford Health. I want to welcome you to today's webinar on building positive play and social emotional skills with Playworks in kind of out of school time programs. This informative webinar is designed to explore how Playworks strategies foster social emotional learning and positive behavior in out of school time settings. So, we all know that you witness these challenges firsthand, and we really hope that you leave here today with a few more tools to help you navigate these situations with greater confidence. So, this event is made possible through the Wisconsin Out of School Time Alliance. So, with all logistics aside, I am going to hand it over to Maggie Shanahan, Courtney. I'm going to mess this up, Courtney. Courtney Garing and
Gunnering. Yep, you're good.
Garing, thank you, and Janae McLean Kelly. So I'll let these three women introduce themselves as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. My name is Maggie Shanahan. I am a trainer with Playworks Wisconsin. I've been with Playworks for 10 years. So I've been working at a lot of schools across the state. And I'm excited to be here with you all today to talk a little bit about out of school time and tools for safe and healthy play at your sites. I'll let Courtney and Janae introduce themselves too.
Good morning. I'm Courtney. I'm the Regional Partnership Manager at Playworks as well. I've been with Playworks for 9 years now. So also like Maggie, at a lot of schools in a different positions. So we're excited to work with you all today. I'll pass it to Janae.
Good morning. My name is Janae McLean Kelly. I am the program director here with Playworks. I've been with Playworks for this is my fourth year now, and I've had the pleasure of working with Maggie and Courtney, and they're both amazing. So I'm excited to be with you all today.
Awesome. In typical Playworks fashion, we normally start meetings or get-togethers with either a game or a check-in question, just to get us to break the ice a little bit, build community, get to know each other. So I would love it if you would just take a second and chat in your favorite part of spring. Last night we had, I don't know, I'm sure we're kind of across the state, but in Milwaukee we had a beautiful spring thunderstorm, and it felt refreshing. Oh, I see a lot of chats coming in. Beautiful. The flowers, yeah, my crocuses started to pop out of the ground. I'm very excited. Warmer weather, lots of flowers. Love it. Well, we're almost there, friends. Spring, I mean, I'm sure Wisconsin, we're going to get a little bit of weather whiplash, but um, it feels like it's right around the corner. So that's very refreshing. Camping, oh, also same. Cool. Well, thank you all for sharing. Feel free to continue to chat in, but we can keep moving. Um, Courtney, if you want to hit next. Thanks. Okay, so today we have three main objectives. We had our check-in question for our game. We're going to talk a little bit about Playworks, what the background of Playworks is, a couple different benefits of structured play, and then we're going to talk about some implementation strategies, some tools that you all can take and add to your tool belt, bring back to your play sites, and pass on to the rest of your staff who work with students as well. Before we fully dive in, I am going to say I am traditionally in schools. So if you hear me reference recess or teachers, please know that that is so quickly adaptable to summer camps, to playtime, to before and after school. We also partner with before after school summer and summer camps. So just because if I accidentally slip up and say recess, I wanted to preface, I know that we're after or we're out of school time. So just something to keep in mind as we move forward. All right. So, what is Playworks? Playworks is a national nonprofit. We started in 1996, so we have been around for quite a while, and we believe in the power of play to bring out the best in every kid. Every student, we're going to talk about our principles later today, but we really believe that play is a time that we learn together, we build community, and as educators, we all know that playtime can also create issues. So we want to make sure that we're implementing practices that help empower our students to work together, to build community, and to really bring out the best in every kid. We are the leading nonprofit in leveraging play to transform school communities. We're going to talk a little bit about what Playworks looks like during the school day. But again, we do work with a lot of out of school time programs as well, because there's always time in the day when students are playing and learning together. And these practices can be used kind of across the board. A little bit about our impact. Oh, sorry. Playworks Wisconsin is partnered with over 25,000 kids this year alone. So that is a huge number. And the more consistent we can be across the board in education, the better. So just something that we're continually building towards. And those are some of our national numbers. These are our core values. So we have healthy play, respect, inclusion, and healthy community. We really try and take these values and see them on the playground. Whether we're teaching the rules to a game, whether we're taught teaching if a student gets out when they rotate in a game, we practice or we encourage them to give high fives, to use kind words with each other, to really build in respect and inclusion in every game that we play on the playground or in our out of school time programs. The more students are playing respectfully and inclusively, the healthier they're going to be, the more students are going to be engaged, and they're going to be able to get out that energy, have fun together, and work together. And the more they're playing, the healthier our communities are. If the students are solving problems out on the playground with rock, paper, scissors, they're going to transition back to lunch or back to their other programming, without carrying that small problem back to the classroom or back to our extracurricular activities. So really, all of the or respect, inclusion creates healthy play. And when students or kids are playing together, they build that community, they show that respect to each other, and it transitions into a healthy community overall. So when we're thinking about our games or activities that we're talking about, try and keep these core values in mind. So Playworks has a couple main components when partnering with a school. Every school has recess. Recess is a time of day that normally students aren't given a ton of instruction, and we still definitely encourage choice for students. But we really like to target that playtime and turn it into like more of a hands-off teacher opportunity or teaching opportunity to building relationships with students, to practicing social skills. It's kind of like it's the biggest time of day where students get to pick what they want to do. And we take that up as a teaching opportunity. There are a million times throughout play when students are able to learn something from either about themselves, about other students, or from an adult. So recess is our main time of day that we look at. Youth leadership is another main piece that we build on in Playworks. We always are working on empowering students to be that leader on the playground, and to encourage other students to be leaders as well. So the more we can empower them, the more successful they're able to be, and we'll watch a video on that in just a second. And then our last component is foundational play. One big piece of foundational play is staff trainings. So during the school day, we have a couple different types of programming, but a lot of times a play worker is in a building helping run recess, helping run the youth leadership program. But we also do a lot of staff trainings. So that would be where paras or teachers who are outside at recess or summer camp staff members, before and after school staff members come together, and we train them on the practices that are going to be tools to help create safe and healthy play for their programs as well. So I just wanted to touch a little bit about staff trainings in addition to that foundational play. All right, we're going to take a second or a couple minutes and watch this video so that youth leadership, just to give a little bit of background, youth leadership, we have the junior coach program. You'll hear us reference it a few times throughout this training. But the youth leader or the junior coach program is normally the older students at a traditional elementary school. It would be like fourth and fifth graders. But sometimes we do middle schools. I even have a couple high schoolers this year who come outside and they help run games for younger students during their recess or their playtime. They help get games started. They invite kids into play. They make sure that students are using kind words and solving problems. And that's, first of all, a great tool for the younger students to have that near peer role model. And it's also a great leadership opportunity for those older students. It can be a great motivator for them. Kids love to lead, they love to help. So giving them that opportunity is a great way to engage them and to build that community as well. Okay, we're going to take a second and watch our video.
Let me know if you guys are able to hear it.
Through the Junior Coach program, students build on leadership skills. They learn conflict resolution. It builds that confidence that you'll need later on in life.
Playworks has been here, I believe, 6 or 7 years, a couple of years before I came here. We have natural born leaders within our school. I think Playworks does an excellent job of really seeking them out and then really working with them and modeling what it takes to be a leader. You can see then it translating to the classroom and into the lunch periods and the hallways, what a true leader should be.
It helps to make recess a lot more organized. It just gives them a chance to see what it's like to be a coach. It's definitely a confidence boost. It gives them a chance to have an opportunity that they may not always get to have, and that's to be a leader. Also, it gives them a chance to take risks. To be able to step out in front of their classmates and maybe lead a game or lead a cheer. Otherwise, cases they may be in a classroom and may not want to raise their hand and answer questions. But through the program, it gives them an opportunity to maybe step up a little more.
When the junior coaches have their purple shirts on, I think the adults recognize that these are unique students that have a certain skill set. They can look to them to help out in the classroom. You can see the younger students looking up to the junior coaches. You know, it's one thing to listen to a teacher, but another to listen to your peers. And I think the junior coaches take great pride in that.
What I enjoy most about being a junior coach is helping younger kids have fun at their recess.
My favorite thing about being a junior coach was helping the kids stay safe and play fair. I enjoy playing with kids to see their joys of their faith. We basically learn new games to teach the children. My favorite game was hula hoop. I like how the game is not very competitive and there's no winning or losing. My favorite game is death ball. Rochambeau was a hit on the recess yard, especially when they're playing Foursquare. It's always a lot of debate with that, but a quick game of Rochambeau and they can move on. We learn things not to do and things to do. Like if a kid loses a game, don't tell them, ha ha, you lost. Just encourage them to play again.
If they exemplify the Playworks core values, that's respect, healthy play, healthy community, and inclusion. I like to give opportunities to students that may have a little challenging behavior, just to give them a chance to redirect their energy into another positive thing. Play is always a good escape for anyone, whether you're young or old, and anybody can do it.
I think kids need play as in a break from school. Everybody needs a break. Kids need play to release their energy. And a lot of times in classes, you don't get to socialize with your friends. So that gives them a time to socialize with their friends.
They need play to help them get their goofiness out during recess. So in the classroom, they can be straight and focused.
If I would have been a junior coach in fourth grade, I think I would have blossomed more in the classroom. I would have tried more things, would have had more opportunity.
When budget's cut, it's always the arts and the physical education that get cut. I think Playworks kind of is a subsidy that students need to have active, healthy, in-class mindsets.
Playworks for every kid.
Thanks, Courtney. Now that we saw a little bit of our empowerment, a little bit of our junior coaches in action, and talked about some background of what Playworks is, I am going to pass it to Court to chat a little bit about why play matters.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. So we'll be going over kind of more specific tools in a little bit, but we really wanted to talk about why Playworks exists, why play matters, just as Maggie said. Some of our kind of guiding principles, these are 6 principles of play, are things that we want to make sure every kid gets to experience, but then also every adult at a Playworks site. So I'll kind of read through our 6 simple principles of play. I'm going to ask at the end if there's one that like resonates with you or really sticks out to you. You can drop it in the chat, even just like the number. But I'll read through them, kind of think about your experiences as a kid when you were playing either at recess or after school or out of school time programs. But just kind of reflect on what that felt like for you. So number one, every kid has the opportunity to play every day, from the classroom to the playground and in the neighborhood. Our second principle is kids get to choose to play and get to choose games that make them happy. Kids have the right tools to resolve their own playground conflicts. Adults play alongside kids, modeling and supporting a culture of trust, positivity, and inclusion. Play is not treated as a reward to be revoked. And finally, number 6, everyone is welcome to join the game because playing together is a great way to build community. So if you don't mind, just pop in the chat any of the principles that kind of stuck out to you, maybe one that whether it's going well at your site or maybe needs some improvement, but any that stuck out, you can just put the number in and we'll see what people are kind of resonating with. Ooh, number 5 already is pulling ahead. Should have done a poll on this one. That would have been a good 3 and 6, 4. Awesome. We'll give you a few more seconds to review them. Yeah, so those bottom ones for sure. Yeah, I'm seeing 5 come up a lot. Play is not treated as a reward to be revoked. I think especially in our out of school time programs, a lot of times, we have built-in time for playtime or kind of free play. Yeah, so we don't want to be taking that away as a punishment. Awesome. Thanks for chatting in. 5, 4. Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones, number 2 always gets me. Kids get to choose to play. And we have so many like systems to be able to get kids in the game and they have the choice. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, the foundations of recess, as we know, we're in a data-driven world these days, right? So Playworks back in, it was about 2016, 2017, kind of set out to figure out a way to measure playtime and recess to make sure that it can be safe and healthy for every kid. And that's when we created the Great Recess Framework. So the Great Recess Framework kind of is our guiding principle on what actually we want to accomplish when we get out to recess. So if you've ever taken like a psych class, you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Basically, the pyramid is just the bottom stuff is the things that we need to be able to get to the top stuff, right? So our first thing on the bottom of the pyramid is safety. We want to make sure that our sites are safe for kids. They have established boundaries. We have a whole rubric. We can share that with you as well around the Great Recess Framework. But we have a bunch of different indicators to say, do kids feel physically safe in the space? Do they feel emotionally safe? So those are things like, are other students, what kind of language are we using, positive or negative? Do we have boundaries? We want to make sure there's no broken glass, right? So those safety things are really, really essential to creating a great playtime. And that's when we try to move up that pyramid. Once we get our safety down, we can jump to that engagement piece. Engagement is all about like how many students are playing. Do they have the activities that appeal to them and they know how to get into the game? And then finally, we have that empowerment piece. And that's when students feel empowered to run their own games. They start and sustain their own games by themselves. And a lot of times we see this with junior coaches as well. So those youth leaders that go down to younger students to help support them. And we've seen this happen if you're at a Boys and Girls Club. I believe it's Torch Club. Am I right on that one? Give me a thumbs up. Yep, Torch Club, right? Maybe they're coming down to younger grade levels to help support them. So we see that empowerment happen and leadership happen, especially with our junior coaches. And then you can see on the 3 points of the pyramid the things that make that happen, right? Our staff, how are our staff interacting with students during that playtime? The systems that we set up, and Maggie's going to spend a lot of time on this in just a little bit. But what are the systems that we are setting up as the people in charge, right? To basically make sure that kids are successful. They know what they can play, they know where to play it, they can get in the game. And then finally, games, right? Games are really, really important to that playtime. And that big circle around it, communication. It's all about communicating, either expectations to our staff and adults at playtime, communicating with students what is available to them, communicating expectations with them, and making sure that everybody's on the same page with that. If there's any questions about Great Recess Framework, please feel free to drop it in the chat or come off mute. But otherwise, I'll keep moving. All right, cool. So why high quality play? Why do we care about this so much, right? One of our kind of recent, 2021 now, published research demonstrated that recess quality rather than time and access is associated with positive social and emotional health outcomes. So that's like a big thing. But basically, it means it doesn't even matter how much time students have to play. It really is dependent on quality to get our benefits of play. So even if they were to have hours upon hours of time, but it's not high quality playtime, we might not necessarily see some of the benefits versus a 20-minute recess where students are highly engaged, they're active. That quality time is really, really important to getting social emotional health benefits for our students. Basically, the study found, and the indicators are listed. High quality recess significantly predicted emotional self-control for our students, positive classroom behaviors. This was in a recess setting, of course, but positive behaviors outside of playtime would be for our after school or out of school time folks. Executive functioning, so that brain is firing after we're moving our bodies around, and resilience. So making sure that they're able to try something and keep trying at something. And I'm sure that you all have seen students try something and then give up. So recess is a great time to practice those social skills. So why we play? Again, I want you to think back to when you were at recess. For some of us, that was closer than others, right? I know that I got a lot of playtime in. I really focused on my recess time when I was a kid. I was a monkey bar girl for sure. But one of the major benefits for me was connection and empathy. So I want you to go ahead and look at some of the benefits of why we play listed here. We have leadership development. Maybe you were kind of a natural captain, right? We see those natural captain kids come out. You were able to build relationships with people, connection and empathy. We regulated our emotions, so emotional wellness. We got our bodies moving, physical activity. And then that executive function, getting the brain firing and enhancing our engagement. So kind of thinking about your playtime, was there one that stuck out to you? What's a benefit that you most valued in playtime when you were a kid? I know we're throwing it back. You can come off mute or go ahead and type it into the chat.
I'd love to share a story from a playground that I worked on last year, if that's
Yeah,
okay. Sorry.
please.
Leadership development. There was a student, a fifth grade student not somebody else chatted in, perfect timing. There was a fourth grade student who struggled a lot in class, like following directions, making safe choices, and just getting work done, I think, in general. And it was something that the teacher was like working on all year. And in the middle of the year, we added him to the junior coach squad because he just needed something to motivate him. And throughout the first shift that he was outside, another teacher came up to me and was like just blown away that he was leading games. He was being a great role model, and it was really awesome to see him in as like somebody who struggled working with his own peers, and staying focused in class, be able to truly excel in this leadership role. It was just really cool to see for another adult to see him in that light. That wouldn't have been an opportunity without recess. So.
Thanks for sharing, Maggie. Some leadership development. I like it. Yeah, and that's what people are saying in the chat too. Enhanced engagement. We come back ready to play, ready to learn. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing that. And then I have finally one more slide before we really move to the tools and the how we implement Playworks. But I wanted to just chat really quickly on our outcomes. So we survey all of the educators that we work with every year, and basically ask them about, their feelings about Playworks and what we help. One that I really want to highlight is 99% of our educators we work with agree that Playworks helps students learn cooperation skills. And that is so, so important. As you know, in out of school time programs, we want to make sure they're cooperating, they're learning from each other, they're able to play without too much adult intervention because we don't have one-to-ones, right? So thinking about that. Also, wanted to highlight that 97% of educators agree that Playworks helps create a welcoming environment. So when we set up our systems and tools that Maggie's about to talk about, we create a more welcoming environment for our students, and provide a space where students can learn, life skills, make new friends, and build community. So just wanted to give you some of the why we exist, what we do. And now Maggie's gonna kind of get in more into the nitty gritty of what are we doing with our programs to that you can take away from this and implement tomorrow if you would like. So Maggie, I'll pass it to you.
Awesome. So this is just a quick little image of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. You can see play spaces are mapped out, games are happening. This is a photo of our junior coaches. But kids are playing, right? If they're playing, they're learning, they're working together. So just a quick little foreshadow. You can go to the next slide, Court, and you can go through all of these. Sorry. Perfect. So we have our best practices for healthy play, and all of these are different tools for your tool belt. If you imagine like a regular tool belt, each vowel is a bucket that you can throw a million different tools into, to help build safe and healthy play at your play site. So I'm going to go through them all quickly, but we're going to take a deep dive into a few of them as we go. We have adult participation, environment built on core values, interventions, options and opportunities, and useful tools. Feel free to read the fine captions there, but we're going to get into it a little bit later. One thing I wanted to touch on is environment built on core values. As I mentioned earlier, we have respect, inclusion, healthy play, and healthy community as our Playworks core values. When we're putting a game on the playground, we want to make sure that all of those are represented. I am sure you all have identified core values or like PBIS incentives for your site. The three most common, I would say, across education and youth development is be safe, be respectful, be responsible. So if those are something that's familiar to you, that might be like your core values. They don't need to be built around our specific core values, although I encourage you to keep them in mind. But they can be built on your own program's core values as well. And then one more thing we're not going to fully dive into today, but I wanted to touch on is that interventions. A lot of you typed in number 5, which I believe was reward is treated as play is not treated as a reward to be revoked. So one thing that we really encourage when using interventions, we know kids make mistakes, humans make mistakes, occasionally interventions need to happen. We are not going to say everything is going to be perfect. But what we encourage is a reteach, as well as a redirect and reflect. So really reteaching the rules of the game. If something isn't going well or if students aren't using a problem-solving tool, how can we reteach the expectations to them, on either a one-on-one level or on a whole scale level to make sure that we're not just taking away recess, right? Like if we're teaching math and a student makes a mistake, we don't say you're not doing math anymore. We reteach that expectation, we reteach the programming to them, and play should be similar. We don't teach, we can't teach every student problem solving tool and expect them to be able to do it on the first try. Some of them are going to be able to remind their peers, and some of them are just going to be need to be reminded and retaught that expectation to be able to get there. So we teach to different learning styles as well. Okay, sorry, I wanted to touch on that for a minute because it came up in the beginning. So we're gonna dive into the adult engagement tool for safe and healthy play. So being a caring, consistent adult, engaging with youth is absolutely a best practice that we encourage. And if you can see here, just to put a little bit of context to the picture, because there is a lot going on in the picture, this is a map that one of our implementers made for their school site. So what you can see is they boxed out like all of the frequent games that happen on the playground, and we'll get to that in a minute. But then what these stars are is where the adults are standing on the playground. So if you notice, they're all spread out. They're not standing on top of each other, and they're spaced out to be at different games. One thing that is so natural is that adults and kids tend to group up. And when we're grouped up, like if we're just standing here at the middle by the bottom of that hill purple slide, or purple square, if everybody's just standing there, they might be thinking as an adult, you're like, oh, well, I'm standing here so that I can go respond to any of these areas if needed. And I understand that logic. But if we're not there, we're only responding to problems. And as an adult, one of the most proactive things that we can do is be there to prevent the problems or to help work through with students when a small problem happens. If the small problem becomes a big problem, it's immediately going to be more stressful for us, our students, and there's going to be more consequences involved for everyone. But if we're spread out, engaged at a game, we're able to take that temperature check of the game. We're able to give small redirections if needed to be able to prevent that problem from being big. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of a there's a little bit of a description. Welcome. Don't forget to mute yourself. Thank you. Of ways that adults can engage at each area. We do encourage students to play alongside students. I will also acknowledge I don't expect every adult to play 45 minutes of tag in a row. We all have different abilities as well, and some of us might be able to get out there and play, and that's great. And some of us maybe just had a knee surgery and we can't play 45 minutes of tag in a row. So there are different ways that you can engage at a game that still is facilitating, it's encouraging students, and it can still help prevent a lot of problems. So if you can see, like if you look over at number 3, one of the descriptions says helps recruit students, helps with rules, and supports those student leaders who are there. So that person isn't just standing there watching the game. They're recruiting kids into get into the game. They're using rock, paper, scissors to solve problems, giving any rule reminders. So they're engaging in multiple different ways. And 3 things that we always encourage adults to do is, invite, facilitate, and play. If you're at a full court basketball game and you're not comfortable fully jumping in, that's okay. You can still set the tone of the game by kind of narrating, saying good pass, giving those positive language reminders as well. Any questions on adult engagement?
One thing just to add, Maggie, sorry, and these are things that you can teach your staff. So, if you're a person who is like in charge of training other staff or working with them, the inviting, facilitating, playing are like the 3 big that we talk about. When one of your staff members is at playtime, when you're like giving them very specific roles and like you are either inviting, facilitating, or playing during that time, it creates that more proactive climate for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Court. Cool. And we can head to the next one. So options and opportunities was another one of our tool buckets for our tool belt. creating, as you can see also in the previous slide, the games were mapped out clear and consistent. If a student, and just like in this one, if a student wants to play a game, they know exactly where they need to go. Being consistent on the playground with our play spaces in helps create games that are accessible to students. If we're playing tag in one area and kind of running all across the playground, and another student wants to join tag, they don't know where to go. Simply building a boundary or designating an area for each game can help make sure that student or that games are accessible, that kids know where to go if they want to join, and it helps break down barriers of like the nervousness of asking if they can join, if it's their best friend or not. So being consistent is super important. Um, especially for core games. So what a core game is it's a game that students that are already playing. We all probably have our go-to two or three games that are already outside on the playground. And those are options that kids jump into right away. A great example might be for if any 5-year-old, probably or 95% of 5-year-olds across the state, they're going to know how to play red light, green light. So that's a great core game for a 5-year-old, no matter where you are, no matter what your play site is. It's something that they can jump into. Um, Identifying the core games at your site is kind of like step one in mapping out options and opportunities. I would love us to take like 10 seconds and chat in one or two core games that you see your kids playing every day. Gaga, yeah, Gaga's a great one. Tag, Sharks and Minnows. Foursquare is my favorite core game. Love it. Cool. So we all have our core games. We all know that's where they're happening. Kids are probably ready to join them. But building out different options is key to engaging all players, all students. Some students are ready to go for those competitive games. Some students are looking for something a little less competitive, maybe jump ropes, something a little more independent, a free play space. I'm sure a lot of our students are ready to just like use an imagination game. If we give them a space that they can play that, um, we're empowering them to get it started on their own and to be successful. So mapping out play spaces is great. We had our playground map on the last slide. On this slide, this is actually a gym indoor recess play space. So I know not all of you probably have a huge playground or a blacktop space, and that's okay. Mapping out if you have a gym, if you have a classroom, building, if you just play in the hallways, different or creating a map for whatever play space you're using is a great way to build that consistency so students know where to jump in. I have a before school program that I'm partnered with this year that after they eat breakfast, like the younger kids take a longer time, but the older kids are done with breakfast in like 5 minutes. And they called us up and they were like, we want to get something started in the cafeteria, but we're not sure how to do that in that space. So we came in and we kind of created a designated area and a few core games that they could play, whether I'm there or not, in that space to stay active, to stay engaged during different times of the day. So play spaces don't have to be a playground. It can be anything, but making sure that we're consistent with it and building in those core games is a best practice or a tool that we encourage as well. Um, and limiting dead space or clutter or yeah, like setting up boundaries so that students aren't overlapping games. One thing for safety that I'll just touch on quick is if kids don't have a designated area for tag, I love tag so much, but if they're running across the whole playground, first of all, like I said earlier, kids don't know how to join the game. And second of all, they're probably running through basketball or soccer or kickball and are more likely to crash into other people, get those skinned knees, get hit with a ball. So just giving them a designated space is a huge tool for success.
Maggie,
Any?
can I jump in really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One other thing that I noticed sometimes we basically roll out a cart of 15 basketballs, right? And we're like, have fun. It's playtime, right? So like by mapping that playground, I think it's really, really important to think about what equipment do they need to support the games, right? They probably really only need two basketballs because otherwise everybody has the choice of basketball. If there's 15 basketballs bouncing all around the gym, right? Like there's no other choice because it's like unsafe almost to play tag when there's 15 basketballs. So thinking about your equipment, you can always like slim that down a little bit, and just give equipment that supports game areas. And then they have the choice to participate in lots of different game areas instead of just there's three kids that use full court basketball and the rest of us are on the sidelines. So just thinking about what equipment am I giving my students?
And adjust it as needed. If you just teach or if you teach Foursquare and Foursquare is like huge, or you're doing like a tournament or something super fun to pump it up, maybe you need more Foursquare balls that week. And then you teach a new game next week and kids are going back to the tag zone. Feel free to adapt as needed. Which you can go to the next slide, Court. Which brings us to the equipment. So having a little checklist for that is huge. Like we just kind of touched on, if you know a game is popular, bring out more of it. If it's starting to ebb and flow, feel free to just like bring out one or two of that. It also helps you keep track of it. If you're playing outside, I can almost guarantee every person in this meeting has lost equipment because it rolls through the street or we just gets kicked over a fence. So especially if you're in an outside programming space, having that list and knowing what you're bringing out is helpful in what we're bringing back in. So I definitely encourage having a equipment checklist. And a couple of tips for kind of setting up your play space. We use little cones a lot to set up boundaries. Cones are amazing. And I encourage, and kids love helping clean up stuff too. So even if junior coach isn't something that you are able to do, having like a setup crew or a cleanup crew is a great way to empower students. Like I said earlier, they love leadership. They're always looking for something. And if you have a student who likes being outside an extra minute or two at the end, put that person on the cleanup crew and have them collect all the cones. They're going to feel special by doing it. It helps, it's a lighter lift for all of you. And it empowers them to be engaged and have that sense of belonging as well. Um, these are the zone leadership tips are kind of ways for adults or for student leaders to engage at different game areas as well. So giving those reminders, inviting students in, and reminding if I realized earlier that we'll talk about rock, paper, scissors in a minute. So we could just keep cruising court. Sorry. All right, so we're on to our useful tools. This is called the deal wheel. And the useful tools bucket is like really kind of a catch-all for everything else that we put into play. But a lot of these are related to social emotional skills or problem-solving tools. If you've heard us say Rochambeau, that is the exact same thing as rock, paper, scissors, and it is our go-to problem-solving tool. Two kids are playing kickball. They get to the base at the exact same time and they start to argue, you're out. No, I'm in. I'm safe. It becomes a big ordeal. Rock, paper, scissors, solve the problem and get back to the game. Arguing makes students feel frustrated. It tends to just be the loudest voice wins. And it makes it like kind of personal. If you play rock, paper, scissors, it's a game of chance. You do it, you play, you're done, and you get back to the game. So rock, paper, scissors or Rochambeau is our first problem solving tool. This image here is called the deal wheel. It's like a tier two problem solving strategy. Rock, paper, scissors is great. It doesn't solve everything. So it builds out 6 more choices that students could make to keep their problems small. So we have please stop, apologize, tune it out or ignore it, talk through it, do a different activity, or I like to call that one walk away, and then Rochambeau. Using these tools, having them as a visual for students is a great way to make sure students are solving problems in play and then transitioning to their next activity more smoothly. So feel free to use the deal wheel at all of your sites. We have our student leaders as a useful tool, and interventions for positive play are things that we've touched on throughout. Adults playing, having that mapped out area, and everything that we've touched on so far. All right. One thing I wanted to touch on quickly for this one is positive language examples. So language can vary. There's negative language, neutral language, and positive language or positive communication. Um, it is so easy to use replacement phrases if your playground or if your play space is an area where kids get out in a game and it's like, ooh, or laughing or anything like that. It's so easy to implement replacement language like try again, nice try, good game. Um, it needs just a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of prompting from an adult, and it can totally change the tone of the game. If somebody has trouble winning with grace or losing with grace, and the language of that game is competitive and negative, they're going to have a harder time resetting, um, and getting back in line and getting ready to play again than if the game has a positive tone. So that can start with an adult being there and using that encouraging language. And I've seen it happen where a teacher is at Foursquare, they give a high five to everybody as they go through the line. And then all of a sudden, the kids are high fiving each other. And then the teacher walks away and the high fiving continues. So it can really create a ripple effect on your playground and change the tone of a game, which in turn helps students accept some of those harder results. We talked about conflict resolution on the last slide. And then managing challenging situations. Again, this would kind of be going off of those interventions that I touched on earlier, but these are a couple other strategies to try if we have a challenging situation, which definitely does come up when playing.
Maggie, Jose asked in the chat,
Oh,
can the
sorry.
deal wheel be modified based on what conflict resolution tools the group or the class decides, especially when connecting with older youth?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you would suggest modifying it into?
No, not too many things at the moment. But just I know in certain situations where it's been just more like really just talking it out or having some kind of mediator and conversation, and so just different tools that may work well, especially with older youth, and also as other tools that may come about to be able to just get them into some of that communication development.
Absolutely. And I'll say the visual, like the choices are things that a lot of our students are able to go to, especially like middle schoolers on their own. The visual is definitely more tailored to elementary, but the choices are great choices for everyone. Talk It Through is my favorite, and I always teach Talk It Through as a two-part, like it's an I feel or hey, it's an I statement followed by a change. So like somebody tags me too hard, I'm like, hey, that hurt. I feel hurt when you tag me like that. Please use your respectful tags. We call them butterfly tags, but with older schools, you probably wouldn't call it that, and that's okay. Please use butterfly tags next time, right? So it's that full, not just saying please stop, but it's that asking for change, and that's a great one to use with those older youth as well.
I'll also note too, we've also made modifications to the images as well to make them more appealing to older youth as well. So we do have a few copies of the deal wheel that we can provide. Thanks, Mac.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Um, okay, we can go to the next slide then, Court.
All right.
And okay, this is kind of our last thing that we wanted to touch on, or that we are going to have time for today. So we just wanted to, are we able to do breakout groups? Or if we are, that would be great. We just have two questions for you to talk about. What's one question that you have for the group that we'll bring it back and talk through if we have time? And then the last thing is, what's one takeaway that you would be excited to implement tomorrow?
How many breakout groups would you like? Should I do three?
That sounds great to me. Yeah. Yeah. And we want to respect each other's time, so try and keep it to like a 30-second share, if that sounds good.
All right, I will create these and I'm going to send folks into them right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jill.
So it'll pop up on your screen and you can just ask to join or click your button to join.
Cool. And then do we want to bring it back at like 55 so we have time for
Sure.
any questions? And then does that sound good, Jill?
Yeah, I definitely will bring them back at 55. If you and
Or
Courtney,
maybe even 54. What do you think, Court?
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Sorry, Jill, what were we saying?
Huh?
oh no,
What time?
I was just going to say if you guys wanted to pop in any of the rooms, you could go ahead.
Cool. And Jill, you'll bring us back.
I will bring you back at
All right.
54.
Perfect. Nice and fast.
Was fast. There's some people
Yeah.
still talking in a couple of rooms, so
Yep, that's okay.
you like 60 seconds after you
Hmm.
close them. So I'll
Yeah,
be back here in about 22 seconds.
approximately.
We received a very large book donation, and so I've been dealing with that. I'm so sorry.
What? Are you talking to us, Emily?
I was talking to Jill.
Oh,
Okay. If we want to pull Court, you lost the slide deck if you want to pull it back up. Otherwise, we have just a few minutes left. Is there anything from a small group that anybody wanted to bring forward? Otherwise, we're on to our next steps and questions. Janae, do you want to talk about any of the resources?
Sure. So if Courtney, if you could click the links on the slides, I'll go through them really quickly. So we do offer staff trainings. This is all information that we could send to you. Again, it's in the, I'm not sure if you're able to send the PowerPoint presentation, but you can literally click the links and this information is there. So this just gives you a little information about our out of school time trainings that we offer and a little verbiage about that. Then we also have our resources. We do have a digital platform here in Wisconsin and across the nation that we use. Maggie actually is our guru for that. We also have a facilitator guide where we can provide you with an actual guide of how to run the program, even when Playworks isn't there. And then we also have a sample lesson plan. Can we click the lesson plan really quick, Courtney? With this lesson plan, this is something that we do with every program that we offer when we're working with youth and students. And so it literally shows you how to run a successful play session with the students that you're working with. And we also provide that in our facilitator guide as well. So these are all just samples of things that we offer. You all have access to it. You can take a look at it and review those resources. And then if you, hopefully you will have more questions, you can reach out to myself to schedule a meeting. We also do the mapping for your play space as well. I did see that in the chat as well, so that's an option. And then we do offer a summer program. We've piloted this last summer, so we will be in the Milwaukee area offering a 6-week summer program. And then we are looking to expand that in the near future. So if that's something you're interested in, we can also talk about that as well. But this is just an overview of our summer program for this year. It's weekly themed, and a play worker implementer comes out, do sessions, also consult with adults to teach them how to run the games when we aren't there. Any questions or next step questions? We'll check the chat. Nope. All right. That's all, Courtney.
All right. I will definitely get the PowerPoint to Jill and she can pass it on to everybody. Otherwise, we hope this is Janae's contact info. Again, we do trainings with before and after school programs or summer camp staff trainings as well. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I hope we took a couple tools and added them to our tool belt. And it was really nice to meet all of you. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions.
Well, I would like to extend a thank you to Maggie, Courtney, and Janae for being with us today. I would also like to say a big thank you to all our registrants for joining today and for the work that you do on behalf of children and families around the state of Wisconsin. We hope that you are able to use this information and provide all of these necessary tools because we know every little bit counts. I have included the WASTA website and email address. So if you want to reach out to us for any additional resources, please feel free to do that. We also have a Month at a Glance newsletter that goes out monthly with items from all of the folks that we work with when they've got trainings and things like that. So you are able to be added to our listserv if so desired. So I want to say thank you again, everyone, for joining us today.